Yeah, this is a game, and I'm going to go pretty quickly because there's a lot of functionality. So sorry about that. So there's two modes. There's the Dev Challenge mode, which has 4 question types, and then there's the Trivia Database mode. So I'll start with that. So yeah, you can select your number of questions. You can select like types. So I'll just show off like true, false for now. Points are scored. Easy gives you 1 point per question, medium 2, and hard 3. So for example, if I choose medium and we play the game, there's going, and we make this like 11 questions, there's going to be the game, the game is going to be out of like 22 points. Wait, am I doing something wrong? I'm so confused. Okay, now it's working. That was weird. So anyway, yeah, this is just what like the basic multiple choices. So you see that 22 on the bottom, and then it adds to your score. And yeah, this one also like supports like any type. So if you see Boolean questions in there, those look like that, or you can select both of them. And that's pretty much it for the database. Dev Challenge I made because Open Trivia only does like Booleans and multiple, but I also wanted to be able to do like drop downs and fill-ins. So you also have the option, in addition to like selecting types, you can also limit like the max number of questions per type. So just to sort of show each of these different types, I'll limit that to 1. So that's going to give us a quiz with 4 questions. And yeah, so these are fill in the blank. So this one is like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it was pretty hard to get this like to work on mobile and stuff like that. You can see like it like on the smallest phone at least. Like, oh, that one does okay actually. But anyway, yeah. The multiple choice also like Candra's colors. So I think these ones are the same. No, it was the blue. This is forming words. The drop downs. I never remember this word. Yeah, so I guess I'll just do like, that's basically the functionality. I guess I'll do like a run through of this challenge so you can see like a bunch of different questions so that's the cake one. I guess that showed up again. It's supposed to be random. Oh yeah, in terms of blocking, so this one's going, I remember that. So like in terms of who can lock, like the game doesn't alternate turns. It's just that like whoever thinks of the answer first can lock in. Yeah, this word, there's like 40 of them. So I just present like the only letters that can possibly make up words in the language. I think mistress works here, yeah. So whatever, I got that wrong. In terms of mobile, like, or anything really, like if you double click, like if you don't answer a question yet, it won't let you go on to the last page. So like you have to do like something and then it'll reset. Because on mobile, like sometimes like people double tap or something, and that can mess things up. Shows green if you get the last one right, shows red if you don't. This little indicator here is for partial credit. So like this one is partial. Oh, like that's not great. I'll explain partial credit on like oh yeah, and on like another question. The mobile stuff for this, I'll just show like on a I'll show this one on like an iPhone X or something. So you can see like it moves side down. And then also like if you keep writing things, it doesn't like mess it up. I got that right. True. Okay. Yeah, this one's tough. One of these questions is like a slightly different shade. Okay, so this is a good one to show like how partial credit works. So like there's 5 out of 6. I just noticed this because I read the question. There's like 5 out of 6 here that are accurate. So I'm gonna select the one that's not accurate. It's this one that talks about how easy everything is. Yeah, so it wasn't easy. So anyway, if I select all of them, this is a hard question. So that means the total of it is worth 3 points. And then 5/6, you will receive 5/6 of those 3 points, but you will lose 1/6 of the 3 points for adding this additional one. So, you know, this brings that the math, it brings you to 9.4, or at least that's like the you know, rounded down to the nearest 10th version of it. But in the actual like back-end calculations, it saves like the full thing. Yeah, this is a Brady Bunch one. So yeah, so that's, I think that showed like, I'll move on to the code because I think that that showed like enough functionality. So yeah, so I'll just talk briefly about this. So I use Sass and TypeScript, which when you want to use jQuery with TypeScript, I still haven't found a way to avoid using Webpack. I tried to work hard to practice like my formatting. So yeah, product. Yeah, so I'll talk about the code. So this is my Ajax call. I'll make that a little bigger in a second, but that's sort of the whole thing. So yeah, as you can see, like I've taken this out. Both game modes get funneled through like the same sort of series of functions. If you happen to pass, you know, choices for the open trivia database mode, then it will set the URL to, you know, that. But if you don't, then it'll just default over to where I store my challenge questions. Just as a brief side note, my challenge questions are on agility, and the JSON file array looks like this. And then also, yeah, open trivia. I also use that. So like that's something that comes in. I had to retrieve the data encoded because there were some issues like displaying, like it would keep the HTML. It would say like, instead of a end quote, it would say like and Q U O T, which is super annoying. So decoding, bringing in this form and then decoding sort of solved that. Even though if you happen to notice in the actual game, the font that I chose is awful. They only have like they only have ending quotes. So I got pretty confused over that because I'm like, why isn't my fix working? But it was. Yeah, so you get the URL and then you handle it. So if you know, if the response code is in 0, that's what happens if you do open trivia database and they don't have like a quiz in the database. But anyway, if that doesn't happen, you know, you don't have to worry about that. It's response code 0 on my dev stuff. So you just go ahead and run the quiz or data results, and then if there's some kind of bad request error or server error, it'll bring you back to like choose another question. Yeah, so just some key code I thought was important to highlight. So yeah, in terms of like choosing the appropriate display, so I make this like response element, which is sort of that bottom container. And then I just check if it's a Boolean question, you make Boolean, that's true false. If it's a multiple, you make multiple. If it's fill in the blank, you make fill in the blank. If it's response, you make, if it's drop down, you make a drop down. And then you just append that object, that jQuery element that gets returned, then you take the EQ0 and you just put it in the response container. Then you update the DOM and do like further down. And if you actually look at the code, there's some other things I cut it off there. Yeah, and then so in terms of like actually how those things are made, I won't go through like all the logic, but like this is how true false is made. This is how multiple choice is made. This one was really hard to get like dynamic styling based off the number of multiple choice options. So that's why you see like kind of all this stuff here. Fill in the blank. I started off with the P tag, and then if it only has like one letter, that's where I just that if it only has one letter, I started off with a P tag. Oh, this is fill in the blank. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the one with like the sentences in the space to answer them. So if it's just like a word, it's not like where you're supposed to actually fill in. I sort of end the p tag and then make this new span content editable, and then I have that sort of sentence HTML, and then I retrieve all the spans, and I get their ID, and then I sort of get I bring them together to find the response. I bring them together, and then I lowercase them, and like because I have these IDs, the words that you put in get inserted into that string at the proper position. So like that way, even if you just like write like all the words that happen to be the answers to the fill in the blank, but the wrong order, you won't get the question right. Drop downs are here. And then I guess just the last thing I'll mention is, yeah, I used a form for this, so you could just get all of them to serialize the array. Calculating point. I used classes for my match and player. So the way the counts, they're calculated, the points. It's one. I have a multiplier, so that's 1, 2, or 3 based on the difficulty, and then how many correct did they get, how many incorrect did they get. If it's single, you just give the the points 1 times the multiplier. But if it's if it's not single, you're considering the non-incorrect and incorrect. And I have the list of rounds, and then I just pop off with shift, and I bring that into the current round, and that's sort of what I deal with on the front end. And then the last thing I'll talk about is just this little algorithm I wrote, and that helps deal with when you're trying to on the dev mode, when you're limiting like the types of questions you want. You only want true and false and multiple or something, and you only want a maximum like 4 per category. This has to do with like basically the idea of this function that I had. I'm sure it's not like the best O or whatever, but I just wanted it to work. So I took the data, I made an array of arrays of that length, and I made each position initially equal to the whole amount of data. And then I went through each of those arrays and assigned it like that. That's the array for multiple. That's the array for Boolean. And then just drop off like everyone but that type. So filter it and then slice for the max number of questions, and then join them all back together. And I think that's basically all I have to say about it.
Okay, awesome. Very nice. Any questions? Going once, going twice, and applause, applause. Okay, and next we have